Nobody wants to spend thousands of dollars and stress and a lack of peace of mind and all that. People want to settle a divorce yesterday. And I was wondering what in the world is collaborative law. So I went to research, and then I found that it's a peaceful way of settling the matters. One of them, they said this to me: she's been a very good wife and a good mother, so I think she should have it. I mean, that's noble, I think. Yeah, but there are some men who do that.
Welcome to Grounds for Divorce. We are your hosts. This is Kathleen. I'm Isabel.
Hi, I'm Kathleen. So throughout the history, Isabel, divorce in Singapore, I realize there's only one way, and it's always through contested divorce. People go to the court and fight it out, right? So who do you think wins in such a situation?
Nobody though.
Yeah. So traditionally, how divorce actually takes place in Singapore, right, is such that the husband finds one lawyer, the wife finds one, right? So then they spend 2 to 3 years fighting it out with each other. Children may be involved to testify against one of the parent. Then after that, they, other than all these 3 steps, right, tens of thousands of dollars are actually spent on the legal fees. Eventually, the final divorce paper is out, but they are too depressed to move on in life. So 11 years ago, one of the most prominent lawyer actually changed the whole divorce industry. He came up with collaborative law. We are very honored today. We have Rajan Chettiar, who is the lawyer.
Good. Very good to be here today.
Thank you, Rajan. So, please share with the audience, how did this collaborative divorce even started?
Well, I think it started when I set up the law firm in 2003, and I came out to practice family law. And I was very clear then, I had a conviction that, we cannot be fighting in court. We have to find a peaceful way to settle the matters between the parties so that they can move on. And if they're kids, they can co-parent the kids in a better way than traditional divorce, which was by way of going to court. So I was trying to look around. So I started, helping my clients to negotiate settlement, and I worked very hard at it. And then in 2007, I trained to become a mediator, and I thought mediation was the way to go to try and resolve disputes. So till now, I do that. And I still remember in 2007, I was searching a UK law firm website, and they talked about collaborative law. And I was wondering what in the world is collaborative law. So I went to research, and then I found that it's a peaceful way of settling the matters. And the more I read about it, and I told myself, this is me. This is exactly what I am supposed to do. It took me a while to go around, find the training, and then I met a trainer from Australia who trained collaborative lawyers. So that's how I started in 2013. And right after the training, I told myself, good, this is settled. This is the way to go. This is how I'm going to practice law from then in terms of family law. And then we started that in 2013 to now. That's about 11 years. So in our law firm, we really only focus on creating outcomes peacefully without fighting out in court. And we managed to do that, quite well. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's how the journey started, and and I've been very, very involved in collaborative practice. I sit in the board of the International Academy of Collaborative Professionals for the last 6 years, and I did my part to try and promote it around the world. In Asia, we started in Hong Kong, and then it came to Singapore, and now we are going. Now we have also started in Malaysia. So it's a worldwide movement to try and create divorces for families respectfully and peacefully.
Wow, Rajan, that is a really this is so big about this part. Can you please share? I believe this is not the norm in the industry. How do you even fight through this? How do you even push through this collaborative divorce in Singapore?
Thankfully, I think maybe I should start in 2003 when I came out and told my friends I'm just going to try my best to help to settle divorces peacefully without fighting in court, and they were quite skeptical. Yeah, so they were saying, you sure you can do that? The present state is litigation in the courts, which we all know. Yeah, but I said no. I was very, very clear, and it was a conviction, that was born. And I told myself that it can be done. So I pushed it along. I did call litigation, but I did it in a very mindful manner. I think there's a big difference from litigation and mindful litigation. So I went on to do that, and I saw that helping a lot of clients. So that was real proof that we can do that. Yeah, so after I did the training in 2013, I did the first case in Singapore, and I saw with my own eyes how this way of doing things can really help the couple. Because right at the end of the sessions, right at the end of the sessions, the clients just broke down and cried. I think they cried in relief. Yeah, and my client was the husband, so I kept in touch with him for the next few years to see how he was doing. And he said that one of the best things that he did was to do a collaborative divorce. Things are good, relationship with his children are good, life is more settled, peaceful. And he never came back to me again, which means he has no problems. I think that's wonderful.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Very wonderful.
But before we go into more details about your clients' stories, we would like to hear that, what are the setbacks back then? Because this is not something a usual lawyer would want to practice.
I think the setback was people were worried that if they don't do litigation, they will not make money. That was the major setback. It was something new, something they're not used to. We are trained to fight in court. We're not trained to settle peacefully. So that's a big mind shift change. So that's the worry. And the second worry was that they didn't know how to do it. I think you need to have a certain kind of mindset. You have to be a peacemaker or peace lover to want to do these kind of things. But lawyers are trained to be litigators. I don't blame them. Yeah, so it's mindset change is very difficult, even till today, I think. And then, people were worried they will lose the huge fees. Yeah, but in collaborative practice, you can still make the business and make the fees. Yeah, you just do a lot more cases. Yeah.
So how long did you really officialize this collaborative divorce?
I won't say kind of an officialize. I just thought that once I found it, I thought this is the way to go, and I just put into practice.
Right.
Yeah, so collaborative law can be just the strict sense of the word, and and I can talk about the structure in a while. But it's also sometimes just helping people to see things and to focus on settlements. If you advise properly and you show the pros and cons, and you can tell people, look here, I have got my statistics of success. People are willing to settle. One thing you must realize: nobody wants to fight in court. Nobody wants to spend thousands of dollars and stress and a lack of peace of mind and all that. People want to settle a divorce yesterday. So if you want to settle your divorce yesterday, going to court is not it. Yeah. So you have to find ways and means to try and resolve it.
Okay. So in audience perspective, for those who are currently in the process, so when they first come to you, what is your very first advice?
I always ask, I tell them how we do it in our firm. People come to us nowadays, they know that we do the peaceful divorces. So I tell them that this is one way of doing it, it's the best way, and I share with them the statistics. And then I tell them, why don't we start, in a negotiating mode. Let's write a letter to your spouse and invite him or her to come forward to discuss, negotiate, discuss. Yeah.
Was that the mediation part?
That is negotiation. That's not mediation. That's just to start the process of informing them we want to reach a settlement, and we're inviting you to come forward, either by yourself or through your lawyers, to discuss and reach a settlement before we go into court. Yeah. So it's even before mediation, it's negotiations. Yeah. So so you need to set the stage, and say, look here, we are not here to fight. We just want a peaceful divorce. Now the marriage is over. Let's find a way out peacefully. Yeah, and respectfully, because there's a lot of pride and ego there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next step after negotiation is to go to mediation.
Not really. If you can negotiate and settle, then we can just file as what we call uncontested divorce. If you can't, then you go into court, and then you go through the court mediation process. Yeah. So that's quite different from collaborative divorce, which I will speak in a while.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but this is one of the ways of reaching a collaborative divorce. There's collaborative divorce and there's collaborative divorce. What I mean by that is the pure structure of a collaborative divorce will be different. But what we're trying to do here is that let's get together and find a solution. And that does not need a name or a structure or a shape. Just two people wanting to settle. And people don't want to settle. Nobody wants to fight.
Yeah.
People don't want to settle, and if you can help them to settle, you give them the advice to settle, they will settle.
People just need to see the light, right?
Correct.
What do they want to achieve at the end of the
correct.
divorce?
Yeah.
If the marriage doesn't work out, then why fight further, right? Yeah.
It's about, one of the things that I nowadays ask, what's your goal? What's your goal for the divorce? And people usually will say, I want to settle quickly, peacefully, I don't want to spend too much. And I don't want to, I don't want my children to suffer. Yeah. Then it's no brainer, right? Then you have to find a way to settle it.
Right. Right, but then what about those, especially those people, client who are the angry one? Do you really, are you really able to talk them through this part?
I think emotions will have to be dealt with. If they are very, very emotional, I would suggest to them, why don't you talk to a counselor, to deal with the emotions, to process it, and then to get yourself more kind of ready. And people do that, and then they do 1 or 2 sessions, they come back, they are much clearer. I've seen that in my clients, and then they are ready. Some people, it's not all of them will go for counseling, right? So some people will not. Then you just have to manage them and say, look here, what's your goal? What do you really want? Do you want to inflict pain and suffering on your spouse, or do you want to settle? Yeah. And sometimes halfway through, people get very tired because to settle is not easy, it's difficult, it's tiring. To mediate in court is so tiring. And people say, look here, he's not going to settle, let's just fight it out. So you have to keep on managing their expectations and review their goals. And then you tell them, okay, we go and litigate how long it will take, what's the pros and cons, the cost involved, and what will you get in court? Will you get something a lot more better than now? For example, will you get a larger share in your home, in your property? May not be. So when you do an assessment, people will realize, okay, fine. So it's really about, I think family law is really about managing the clients, their expectations, their emotions, and then putting it down there for them and say, you can think about it. Yeah.
So, Rajan, just now you said a lot, right? So, to help the audience who are listening to us to dissect this a little bit, because they may not be in the process yet. So, just now because we mentioned, right, if you are you're going for a contested divorce, where you mentioned where litigation is ongoing, it's very tiring. So, because it can drag as long as 2-3 years. So, during these 2-3 years, right, are there lawyers writing and doing the work, and then where the money rolls, right? So, how involved are the clients as well, other than the emotions?
The clients are expected to be very involved. They have to produce documents. They have to look at draft affidavits. They have to give instructions. They have to be very involved in the case. The lawyer cannot run the case by himself. So they have to be very, very involved. And that is very disruptive because you have to live your life. You have to work. You have to manage your expectations, in life, taking care of children, maybe. And then you have to run a case. It's a lot. Yeah. So they have to be very, very involved, and they find it very difficult and tiring. That's why some people really just take a break and say, no, I don't want to deal with this.
So I heard before, that I got clients who say that every night she may have to read the affidavits, and then she has to then reply to her lawyer, and then so that the lawyer can take the next step, right?
Correct.
So emotionally draining for them. At the same time, they have to deal with the process itself is draining. They are drained by already if they are handling the children alone. There's another round. So financially, they are also being drained. So then, why do people fight, right? So was this also one of the reasons that when you started law and you saw this, and so at which point you told yourself, wow, this is something that I really do not agree upon?
I think it ties together with my reason or my own kind of objective or mission why I wanted to practice law. I wanted to be a lawyer to help people, to solve their problems and to help people and so that they can live their lives. So I think settlement work or collaborative divorce or mediation is in line with that. Yeah. So if I didn't have that kind of a goal, I think I wouldn't have done it. I think it was in line with my goals.
That's we are very blessed to have a lawyer like you. Yeah. But then can you also share, the part where you come across a few prominent clients that you do remember?
Yes. Talking about litigation, or are you talking about just a client journey?
Litigations?
Yeah. I remember a case very well, which I wouldn't forget for a long time more, I think. Short marriage, no children. It's an international couple, one Singaporean, one foreigner. They were just inflicting pain on each other, physically, emotionally. And because of that, and the way the marriage broke down, the wife was fighting with the husband over division of assets and maintenance for 3-year marriage, which is, is hardly anything. Yeah, and she really put him through the dry cleaners and made it very hard for him. It took impact on him, emotionally, really bad. I think he was very depressed. He was even suicidal. And this is one person that I really was quite worried that he would hurt himself. So I used to check in on him a lot to make sure that he's alive because he was really that real. I saw the way it was run down. It really ruined not only him but her too. And she was what we call a litigant person. She had no lawyers. So she was doing all this by herself. And I was thinking to myself, this woman is just running herself down. And towards the end of the case, towards nearly the end, she found out that she had a life-threatening illness. And that's when she realized, okay, I need to settle. But why? Why do we need to do this to ourselves? At the whole risk of health.
How long did they drag
2 over years.
over a short
Yeah, and
marriage?
this was during the pandemic, so it was even more harder doing all your Zoom hearings 2 over years. But it really, if it just ruins or runs down one person, okay, I get it. But you could see it running down to both persons. Why? Because it's just emotions, anger, resentment, wanting to hurt each other. Yeah.
Rajan, I hear that you were saying that you are representing the males,
yeah.
the men, yeah. So it sounds okay. Sorry, I should rephrase that. How do you end up helping him to communicate to her that this should be settled peacefully?
We tried a lot of times through correspondences, letters, emails, but she refused to. Yeah, she just refused to.
But eventually, this divorce settled in a.
Right up to the last final court hearing, and then finally she settled. That's really very late. That means it's through all your litigation, the last hearing, then she settled.
Settled in what manner?
She sort of said, okay, fine, let's find a way, and let's just come to our own agreement, private agreement. But the question is, why couldn't you done this 3 years ago when we talked about it?
Yeah.
But she didn't.
And you mentioned that it was over. Actually, the fight was just pure fighting. It's not so much of over.
It's hurting each other.
It's just hurting.
We're not talking about a lot of assets that was divided. I don't think so. There was a lot to divide, but it's just hurting each other, and really, this is really the emotional warfare they did.
This just sort of reminds me of my client lately. Being a realtor, I have a client who came to me and asked me, he wants to sell a house, right? He wants to sell a house. However, all that he talked about was the house, until I found out that he actually has children. He has children, and obviously his ex-wife now, right? So the 2 kids are with the wife. So I asked him, if you are looking to just sell the house, you just want the money, but where are your kids going to stay? He told me, of course, his ex-wife situation. She's not well-to-do, and she's not fetching a lot of high income. So she has some issues in getting another place for themselves, for herself and her kids. So at the end, he said, yeah, I care. But all he's thinking about is, I just want to take my money back. And because she is very hard to talk to. Yeah. So this makes me realize that I think people at the end of the day, when they fight, they forget. Why are they fighting? They've already forgotten why they are fighting. The initial thought of, I just want to fight because I don't want the person to have an easy way out. That's scary.
Yeah, sometimes you ask yourself, why do you want something?
Yeah.
What's really more important? Sometimes what it seems on the surface is not really what's important. There is an ulterior goal, motive. Yeah, and I've seen cases where people fight over the care and control of children. But is that really what they want? No, they are hoping by getting care and control they can get the house, they can keep the flat or buy a new flat. Yeah, so it's always about when somebody wants something so badly. I ask my clients, maybe we should start thinking, why does this person want something so badly? There must be a reason. If it's really a very pure kind of an altruistic kind of reason, sure. But if it's some selfish reason or something driven by that, then we have to find a way to solve the problem.
Agree.
Yeah.
So looking at this, because I've been through uncontested divorce myself, because I told my lawyer then, I really do not want, I do not want to go through the fight. It is already so painful to me. My marriage fell apart. Kids are involved. I have to deal with the kids' emotions, my family emotions, his family emotions. And then on top of that, why do I want more? So I told my lawyer, I really just want to talk about it. We pen it down, we get it signed, and then, from then on, we are co-parents. I think this already, because with so many things involved, it was difficult. It was so difficult on me. Why would I still want to? I cannot imagine. I still have to every day tell my lawyer what I need to do, what I want to fight for. How much money is there? Yeah, at the end of the day, how much money is there? If maybe we have tens of billions, still worth fighting. At the end of the day, the legal cost is so high, right?
Yeah. I think uncontested divorces are very difficult to achieve and very rare. Yeah, so it's nice to hear these kind of stories, and here and there when we have people who settle so nicely, I was like, wow, there's still hope.
You know, at the end, I think I told myself, I just want the rainbow at the end. I want to see the light at the end. Why do I want to go in this grey path, walk endlessly, already so painful? I was so depressed, right? So any more of that, I think just taking away my life is easier in a way. So why I want to do this to myself further? So I told myself, no, this is really not what I wanted.
The question really is how enlightened people are.
Yeah.
And and how clear they are. Most people are not like that.
Yeah.
Really, they're not like that. Yeah. So it's a lot of awareness. There's a lot of awareness that's to be created, because it's such a very deeply emotional journey. Yeah, I used to tell my staff at work, if you take away the emotions, the work is quite easy. The work is so difficult because of the emotions and the various layers of emotions, and you start questioning yourself about everything and anything. Yeah, and that's really, really hard. Yeah.
Right. So also for the benefit of the male audience, can you actually share that is it very common that people deem that men are usually the villain in the divorce based on your experience?
I don't think so. I think both parties play a part to break the marriage. Yeah, good things people take credit, but bad things so they must take credit, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, I do not think so. But again, it depends. In some, it's a case by case, right? In some cases, really, there's a case where, the man really did all these awful things and then the wife just responded or was just stuck in it. Yeah. So, I think it's very hard to say one party is a villain. Yeah. Maybe they're both villains.
Yeah, true. Also for the case where, because we did hear cases where sometimes the husband just don't want to really fight with the wife and then decided to just give in to everything, giving up his assets. How do you help this kind of client?
I do have many like that. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say many, some.
Okay.
And it just shocks me, with all the things we fight over for our clients. Then you have this man who comes and says, I'll give everything.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe advice, surely. We tell him, you don't have to. In the law, this is what you have to give. But they give more than that. And then we make sure that they're very clear and they know what they're deciding. And then, if they want to do, I don't stop them. There could be many reasons, Sometimes it's guilt. Guilt for what you have done. Sometimes it's that, she's been a good, one of them, they said this to me, she's been a very good wife and a good mother, so I think she should have it. I mean, that's noble, I think. Yeah, but there are some men who do that. But you see, if you're well advised and, but you decide, that's up to them. Who are we to say no? Yeah.
Then from that part, can you also share any other prominent clients?
Cases, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. There are many, many stories. So I don't know what kind of stories we're looking at. I have had cases where people have fought really, really hard. Though we tried very, very hard to settle, went to mediation and failed. And, when they really want to fight until to their nail, go up to court of appeal and appeal everything that was in the books were done.
So all this kind of fight that you're talking about, maybe you want to give a little bit more context. So they are fighting over, usually when you talk about this fight, it's money?
Sure.
It's only money, is it?
Yeah, it's usually about division of assets and maintenance. Yeah, it's about money and assets. Usually, once the dust is settled, it's always about that only. Yeah, it's not even about children sometimes, I think. Yeah, so they were fighting really to a nail. And the wife was fighting it while she was, going through a very serious illness. And I was wondering to myself, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that to yourself? Yeah, and then eventually when everything was settled and judgment was given, she had passed away.
Oh dear.
So I was like, what's the point, right? And my client wanted her, was hoping that she would settle so that she can go and rest. Yeah, but that's not to be. And that is a case where it was a very long marriage of more than 35 years.
Oh.
It's a very long marriage.
So how long did the fight last?
2 over years, 2.5.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So you can see that actually a lot of these contested divorce is such a painful one, and no one actually wins the case, right? So we also hear that you also represent children.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you-
I'm a court-appointed child representative. So when the court makes an appointment, when they want some guidance and some, I won't say guidance, information about the child and about the caregivers, the home system, the school system, what the tutors and what the grandparents and all that are sharing. Then that's when we go down to the ground and do it. This happens when there is a dispute on custody, care and control, or access. So only these three. Yeah, so we go down to the ground, or rather I go down to the ground and do all these interviews and discussions and all that. We do a report, and then it's filed in court, and it's just a guide for the judge. Then the judge can decide in whatever way she wants or he wants, and the report is shared to the parties and the lawyers. Yeah.
So usually this is necessary if both parties cannot agree on or try to fight for one of these things.
Correct.
More than what the other party can accept.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
One of our guests actually shared that the child was kind of manipulated. How do you handle such a situation?
I think that's difficult. I mean, there's always this blame about poisoning the child's mind, brainwashing, parental alienation, and all that. I think when we go down to do the interviews or the and to look at the home environment, we can only report what we can see. I mean, family law lawyers are not psychiatrists or psychologists, so we only do it from a factual point of view.
Right.
And then we can share to the court what we see. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hear you just now saying that you will visit their home. And then how does this process even start? Okay, wait, hang on. Let me just reverse a little bit. So earlier on, this will only be initiated when there's no common ground on the custody. You are being called in. So you will first arrange with the parents.
Yeah.
And then you visit the home.
Correct. Yeah, it's the parties and lawyers know about this arrangement. It's a court appointment.
Right.
And then so we are introduced to the lawyers, and then we will just will directly go and arrange with the parents.
Okay.
And then the parents will give us all the contacts of the teachers, the school, the tutors, the grandparents, people who are significant people in the child's life.
So when you talk to the children, right? Do you talk to them alone without the parents?
Yes. Yeah, it's just to get a feel of them. It's not interviewing or cross-examining them, but it's just to go down to the level. Sometimes you play a game with them, you sit on the floor and talk to them.
How old are these children?
They could be as young as 6 years old, 5 years
Wow.
old, and up to 15, 16, 17 years old.
How many visits? Sorry, how many visits?
Oh, there's no limit. Yeah,
Okay.
it all depends. Whatever information I need to gather, and to write the report, it will take that many visits. Yeah.
Do you also weigh or put in a factor that the child's behavior would be different, having to interview this child at the father's place or the mother's place?
That's interesting because we do interview at both homes.
Right.
When the child with the mother, we interview them, and the child with the father, we will interview them because it will be different.
So, do you sense that kind? What do you actually sense from them? I feel I feel a lot about this part because I'm a mother myself. My kids actually had to go through I would say it's quite dramatic to them, right? It's really quite dramatic to them. And my divorce took place while they were quite young. So now when you say that the kids can be as young as 5 and 6, what do you sense from them? What kind of feelings and what were their response like when they talk to you?
I think they will be able to tell you in their own ways through words or behavior or body language what they feel, what they want. Yeah, and you just try to suss it out and gather from them. It won't be direct. It's not like it's not interview. It's just meeting them, chatting with them, and trying to get a feel of what they want and what are the experiences with both parents. What are the issues? What are they feeling? So it's a very factual exercise. Yeah, it's not scientific. Yeah.
Was there a specific case that actually, after interviewing the child, presented to the court or conveyed this message to the parents, it reversed the divorce?
It's not about divorce. It's really about the court order for custody, care, and control and access.
Okay.
The judge is not. It is just a guide. He doesn't need to take into account. Yeah, it's just a guide. His ruling will not be based on my report. It will not be. Yeah, he's not going to be influenced by my report. It's just a guide for him to make a decision. So sometimes some judgments are very close to my report because I will make recommendations. So some judgments will be close to my report. Some judgments will be a bit different. Yeah, it does not matter what the judgment is. The important thing is that the judge had the benefit of this information, which she herself can't go down and do it. Yeah. So we're just the hands and the legs of the courts.
So far for being a child representative and hearing the outcome, right? A lot of time, how does this help the mother especially? Do they usually get the custody?
I don't think so. It helps one parent.
Okay.
I would say it helps the child.
Okay.
Yeah, to get the best he should get, because at the end of the day, in our law, it's always the best interest of a child. So it's what's best for a child, I hope, is what we are getting, not about what mom and dad wants. Because in our laws, it's not about what mom and dad wants. It's about what the child's best interest is. If best interest is, if a child is to be with the mother, then so be it. Yeah. But these are very complex court applications, you see, that are filed. So not that easy. Yeah, I won't say mother will get what she wants or father will get what he wants. Yeah, it's really about, what's best for the child.
That's why settlement was difficult for the divorce, because it involved these ancillary matters where children are involved,
Correct.
other than assets, right? Other than assets itself.
People do, to be very fair, besides assets and maintenance, people do fight over excess. Child excess is a major problem. Yeah, because child excess, it can be wonderfully crafted on a divorce order, but in real life, to bring that into effect is very difficult.
Yes.
One of the challenges that family lawyers face is child access problems. There's no law. It's a practical problem. Where the mom says, oh, child don't want to see the father. But is that really true? Why doesn't the child want to see the father? It could be many reasons. Child being torn by both parents, in between both parents. Child is confused. Child don't know how to handle and cope, because it's very hard for the child.
Yeah.
And then, or it could be what mom and dad has told the child, and sort of influenced him. Yeah, so that all happens, you see. So then, that's one thing, where the child doesn't want to see the father. Then sometimes they say, oh, child's too busy to see the father. So very practical questions and very factual. Then you have to go and look into it and see how can we really solve the problem.
Yeah.
But there are many cases where fathers eventually don't get child access, and that's very sad, I think.
Very sad.
Very sad for the father, very sad for the child,
Yes,
because you have the missing father syndrome.
correct.
Okay, myself, I shared in the previous episode that when I was younger, my parents were almost going through a divorce, and there was no, they did not even come to me to ask me who do I want to stay with, things like that. For cases like that, is there any avenue for the child to even get it heard?
I think our courts are very hesitant about interviewing children. I think that's very hard, getting harder nowadays. But I think the judge will consider and have some regard to the child's wishes if the child is older. And by older, and this is not law, it's just a gauge, 15, 16, 17, 18, that kind of age. Yeah. Anything younger than that is a bit difficult.
Yeah, I know what it's like.
So nowadays, interviewing children by court is not something they really want to do.
It's so difficult because I brought my kids to the child psychologist, right? So my girl at that time, she was not even in primary school yet. And she was very wary of who she's going to talk to. Yeah, I just say this, uncle, he's actually talking to you to find out what, he wants to be your friend. He wants to see what he can do to provide better, so that, maybe you feel better to talk to this uncle. It took him quite a while to make her open up. She was so young. He has to use small treats to get her to open up. So, kid at that age, she's so young. I cannot remember the exact age, but I think she's around 5 or 6 only. Yeah.
I think it's so difficult to put a child through a child psychologist at 5 or 6 years old. Yeah. I had a case where the child was a teenager, and the child had already seen several professionals, several mental health professionals and social workers and counselors and whatever not. Finally, he said, enough. I'm freaking tired. I enough. I'm not seeing anybody because I'm not trusting anybody. Because it's terrible, right, to put him through so many people.
Yeah.
But it happens, you see, and people do it for many good intentions, good reasons. But the question to ask is, do you put a child through this at this young age? Yeah, and I think the answer usually is no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I think to hear the kids is important, and who do the kids really trust, right? So, but where
they're so weary, because they don't trust.
Yeah.
So scared and so weary to meet new people.
And if the parents are not telling the kids the truth from the start, and in a way the parents are manipulating their children, how do you expect the kids to trust anybody thereon, right? So
And it's not about now, it's also about the future.
Yes.
How is he going to, or she going to form healthy relationships?
Yep.
How is she going to date and get married?
Yeah.
These are the long-term effects, you see, people don't realize. Because you can't, you see, this is not a cold and a cough, right? Or a wound on your hand. This is inside, it's internal. You never know.
Yep.
That's why it's very important, I think, for parents to look at it from a child's point of view.
Yep.
I think more and more parents should look at it from a child's point of view. If you put yourself in the child's shoes and look at it, I think the whole dimension of the problem will be very different. But
Correct.
we don't. We think about what we want,
Yes.
what we can get,
Yeah.
and it's about me and I know best. Yeah. So but do we really know best?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know-
Did you ever even ask your child what your child wants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end, got so many clients that I dealt with before who are going through divorce. So the first question they ask me is, also you have kids. So how much maintenance do you get? I was like, Is that the first thing that comes to your mind? Are you not concerned that are my kids okay? Shouldn't that question comes up first? It's that, be it whether it's the mother or the father, they ask me this question. And I would say, of course, more mothers ask me than the father. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure whether they want to feel that it is fair to them as well about what they are getting for the help with the children. So I always tell these mothers one thing. The children are ours. Whether the father gives, or in today's context, even if, let's say the kids is with the father, the person who has the care and control, would you leave the child to starve just because you don't get the maintenance in? Would you leave your child to go without the needs just because you don't receive maintenance? Or you suck it up and just give them what you can? I ask them this question. I say, as the mother, I suck it up.
I think parents must realize that it is not my child, but it's the child of both parents.
Yep.
It's our child. In divorces, people start thinking about it as my child. It's not my. It's the both of your child.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what I say is, I cannot control what the other party thinks, right? But at least in my best ability, I can control what I can do and think. So if I am not needy, I don't feel fearful. I can be happy and still give my kids what they deserve.
Which is exactly why I tell my female clients they must be financially independent, because no amount of maintenance is going to be enough.
No way.
So that's why I say, for those who are in between jobs or who haven't worked, I say please go and work, because you really need it. Because it's so expensive. Even how much it pays you is not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have care and control parents spend more. They do. So if you don't work and you don't are financially independent, you're going to rely on him. It's difficult because number one, he may not pay. Then you must go and take out court proceedings to force him to pay. Then 1 month he pay, 1 month doesn't pay. That's a pain. And then two, when the expenses go up, you have to go back to court to change or what we call vary the maintenance the more. And that's another challenge. So many challenges.
Yeah.
So yes, he should pay and and do get it, but you also have to supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're hoping that what he pays isn't enough, it will never be enough.
You see, like all these fights, it's just at the end of the day, it's all about. So we talk about one big round, right? At the end of the day, it's still just the money. It's always the S11 that people are fighting. So do they really care about what the kids really want and need? Is again a
Well,
question.
they think they do, and maybe some people do, to be very fair. But it's also about the money, and it's also about assets.
Yeah.
But as I said, once it's all the dust is settled, it's really money and assets, really that, because that's why we are fighting over.
Yeah.
Children come a bit later, I think.
Yeah, very sad to say it does. And so clients who ask me the same thing, like myself, right? They ask me, how do I help in the assessing part for the father? So I told my clients, the father can see the kids any day. I have no limitation to when the father should see the children. If the father wants to see them every day and the kids are willing and he can manage them, he's the father. He should know when they are not available or they are available, right? So you ask the kids. If the kids are available, they can handle. By all means, see them anytime. But if you cannot afford the time, the kids cannot afford the time, it is for them to discuss, not for me. Why would I want to come in to stop the other father? Yeah.
I think there are very, very few parents like you. Really, very, very few. And I hope we see more, but we don't see more of such parents like you. And one more thing that people tend to hide behind is they will say, okay, he can see the child subject to child's wishes. The child is 6 years old. What wishes will he have? Yeah, so the courts keep on saying, do not put in this kind of words
Yeah.
in your order. But they do. Subject to child's wishes. The child is 8.
Yeah.
You're going to let the child decide? Good Lord.
Yeah. And why? Why do parents use their children as weapons, right?
Yeah.
They may end up weapons.
That's one more thing, yeah,
Yes.
correct.
So that's where, circling back to why, I when I heard collaborative law, this didn't strike me very hard, because at the end of the day, what we all want is just, to me, it's only 2 words. We want to look forward. And
Yeah.
in order for me to look forward, what do I need? So I love it when you say, you ask your clients, there's one question, what do they want at the end? Do I want pain?
I think the good thing about collaborative divorce in my mind is that it puts the children in the center of the table when we discuss. This movement came from the US. In the US, I'm told they put the photos of children on the table when they're discussing. Powerful, I think.
I will cry. I think I will do
Powerful.
nothing but just cry.
I think I will tear.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
So-
and then they will use the children's name. They don't say children, son or
Yeah.
daughter, they use a name. Yeah, but putting photos in the center of the table and discussing,
It
powerful.
It is very.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's one thing I like about collaborative divorce, because children are the center of the whole matter. Everything goes around them. Yeah, so that's the mindset we have to keep on trying to create.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Rajan, you also set up a mediation company. What inspired you actually?
Because I'm a die-hard believer of mediation. That's why in 2005, when I started doing the training, it was not very, very common for family lawyers to be trained in mediation. But I told myself, I need all the soft skills that I can get to help my clients. So that's one of the things. So I really believe that disputes shouldn't be started in court. They shouldn't be settled in court. They be settled before going to court. So that's why we come up with this private mediation firm to tell people, look here, you want to settle a dispute, do it before you go to court. Bring in the parties, both of you are willing and voluntary, let's sit down and settle. So we can settle any disputes, family, civil, commercial, anything. Yeah. So that's what 2 of my partners were also mediators, and we set up this firm. We also wanted a multi-faceted kind of firm. So one of the partners is a doctor, one is an engineer, and I'm a lawyer. So we came together and said, let's provide that kind of service so that we can settle any kind of disputes.
Right. I hear that you were saying that they are not lawyers.
No,
they
they're
are
not
engineers,
lawyers. Yeah, and
doctors.
yeah. Because a mediator can be anybody. You guys can be a mediator. Just go for the training. That's all.
Cool.
Yeah.
And people from different field, right?
Yeah, correct.
And then they come together with the same conviction.
Yeah.
That's
and
powerful.
sometimes you're mediating a property dispute. You need somebody who's in the property line. Because you get a lawyer to go and mediate. We can, but some of the fine nuances, how will you know? That's why you have got your shipping guys and your property guys and your doctors, engineers, accountants, all who are trained as mediators.
How do you juggle between mediator, child representative, and a lawyer?
Okay,
And then run their own company.
Yeah.
it is not as bad as it seems. Really, it's not. All these things don't happen every day. Yeah, it's just balancing. But at the end of the day, is to really help families and children. Yeah, children are very close to my heart. I mean, my wife and I are very close to our 10 nieces and nephews. They mean the world to us. So children are really quite important to me. Yeah, I think they are the future. And if I can help a child, why not?
Wow.
Yeah. So can manage. It's all about time.
So just now you also mentioned that, of course, certain occupation does impact how this mediation goes. So I believe you do sometimes turn away unsuitable client.
I don't think so. Every dispute can be mediated. Although
Okay.
we like to think that. Some people just need a day in court. Maybe there's a complex area of law, and something like that. Factually, it's not that easy to mediate. Yeah, so not every case can be mediated. Some people need a day in court.
But to put it very layman, I really do not understand the difference between having to come to you and then having to mediate in court. What's the difference?
Because if you mediate in court, you have to file a lawsuit. If not, you
Okay.
can never do court mediation. Then you have to file your responses to the lawsuit and do all the things and file all those things, and then of course get all stressed up and worked up, and then you mediate. So there's all that, all the things what to say about each other is done in court, and then after that you mediate. Sometimes I think that's late. I personally think it's very late. You so mad at each other, then you want to go and mediate. Very hard. So if you skip all these steps and just mediate at the beginning, then you don't have that much slinging. You don't, you didn't say all these awful things to each other on court documents. You save a lot of time, money. The cost of litigation is still very high. Yeah, so that's why in court mediation you cannot mediate without a lawsuit. So that sets the tone. People are not happy. Then you want them to forget about that and mediate. Very hard, I think.
For those who are cost sensitive, what is the difference? Can you roughly give us a figure?
If you mediate a problem without going to court, probably it cost you for 1 day of mediation maybe $5,000. If you go into court and then you mediate, maybe they'll be close to $10,000. So it's about twice the money, and then the time and the stress of it. Because time is so valuable, right, in Singapore. So you're going to take away time from your business and go and spend time with your lawyers and in court mediating.
So just to help out a little bit, right? So when you talk about 5,000 1 day mediation, so for example, you're talking about a divorced couple.
It can be any kind of mediation.
Any kind of
mediation. It can be easily about $5,000. So, I mean, that's not really the rate, but that's around the rough figure.
So just using an example of the divorced couple, let's say they come to mediation first, right? Because they cannot come to a consensus. So they come to the mediation and then one session, usually, should it be sufficient?
Usually in Singapore, we mediate a whole day.
Oh.
So 9 to 6.
Wow.
That's sometimes can go beyond 6 if they can settle. So that's 1 day's work only. Yeah. So one session, yes.
Okay.
Very rarely do people do more than one session.
Okay.
So can you give us a bit more context of this one session? When you sit down with the client, the both of them around.
Yeah, both parties are there because we are mediators, so we're neutral, right? None of them are related to us. So both the clients are there, and sometimes they bring their lawyers in. Then we sit in a table like this, and then we do a joint session where we hear out each other and the concerns and the views and all that. They get a chance to ventilate and then to say what they want. Then we go into private sessions where we talk to each party by itself and find out more in depth. Any confidential information, what are the concerns, what do they want, what can they give, what can they take. And then we do that with both parties, and then we'll bring them in again and we try to find a way to come to a settlement which is neither what you want or you want to settle. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Wow, I mean, this is a very good insight though. I never get to understand, what is this mediation about?
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Thank you so much.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
mediation can take place outside looking for a divorce lawyer. I always thought that it has to come.
In Singapore, people don't mediate before going to court for divorces because divorces is mandatory. Mediation is mandatory in court. So people say, why do I want to mediate if I can do that in court? Yeah, so not very popular for private mediation to happen before going to court. People tend to negotiate, try to settle as much as they can. They go into court and then they mediate because they get a judge to mediate. Who will mediate? You see, because in a private mediation, you won't get a judge mediator.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why court mediation is very popular in the family courts and very successful.
Okay, then one more question on the court mediation. So especially when lawsuit filed, court will also have a similar process 1 day?
Court is not one whole day because they can't give you one whole day. It will be a session of about 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And so there'll be more than one session. You could have 2 or 3 sessions.
Right.
Because they can't give you the one whole day because it's just too much of time.
Yeah.
And they have to mediate a lot of cases.
I actually heard of a case recently that this lady, she went through court mediation, but she has no lawyer because financial issues, right?
Of course.
She cannot have lawyer. After the mediation, the divorce was finalized and all, but she doesn't understand what was in her court order, the final judgment, the what we call the interim judgment,
Interim
right?
judgment,
yeah,
yeah.
where all the ancillary matters, she doesn't understand. So she asked me line by line, because she wanted my help to help her to sell off, right?
The property.
So, yeah. So I need to ask her, do you understand what you are getting out of this so that I can calculate how much money you get before we even proceed, right? She told me she don't know. Then what do you sign?
Yeah, that's the disadvantage when you don't have lawyers. That's why I keep on saying the playing field is very unequal when one party has a lawyer and one party doesn't. I think it's very, I think it's very, very difficult.
So for this scenario, right, does she have a chance to contest?
I think once you have got what we call a consent court order and you have agreed, you can't change it. That's why, and I'm glad that we're talking about that because there's a big trend in Singapore where people say, let's work out, I go to my wife and say, let's go work out an uncontested divorce. Let's come up with terms. I will get the lawyer, I will be the plaintiff, I'll do the work, you don't need to get a lawyer. Yeah, and then she has no idea and she just signs off. Because she never got legal advice. Because you're supposed to get your independent legal advice. One party cannot act for both one lawyer cannot act for both parties. Yeah. So, but she didn't. and then she signs off, and then after that she regrets. There's a lot of such cases. The sad thing is you cannot change the court order because it's a consent order, meaning you agreed.
Right, but then there is also a interim judgment, then a final. So when you say sign the document, it is when this person sign interim?
Yeah, usually in uncontested divorce, the terms of the divorce and the settlement, like children, money, property, all will be in the interim judgment. And it's done in mediation. Okay, in the example I'm giving you, it's not done in mediation, it's done before going to court because it's uncontested. And then I get my own lawyers and I tell her, you don't need lawyers, it's very simple. And then she doesn't even check, she doesn't get it, she just signs off.
So for this scenario, this is actually someone who is literate but then did not read. But what about cases where she's not?
It's quite similar, I think, because she didn't get legal advice. Because it's so important, I think, even how simple your uncontested divorce is, please get legal advice. Because I'm hearing a lot of stories. Oh, I just go to his lawyer's firm and then I was told I don't need the lawyers, I just sign. Then now I regret. I'm sorry, you can't do anything about it. Because she should have got lawyers, but people get influenced by the husbands or wives. Yeah, and they go and sign off.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what that happens, you see.
Especially if there are people who go into, I would say, it was a scheme, right? They come with the idea already because this person is naive, right? More innocent, more naive, we call it, so that they get what they want, right? Yeah, they don't want legal advice. They don't want you to get the legal advice.
If a lot of promises are made, a lot of hopes are created, and then influence, I think, to a large extent.
Yeah.
But there are people doing this every day, which is really worrying. I was like, it doesn't take you much to show that to a lawyer and get consult for 1 hour. It doesn't take much cost or time.
Yes.
Yeah, but people don't, you see, because for many factors, like I said, one thing, they're not aware of their legal rights. 2, they're influenced by the spouse. And 3, they thought that lawyer is also their lawyer.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not. And, with this kind that you said, right, just in my line of work, recently, I really have 3 cases that asked me, can they ask for
A change.
a change? Because obviously, it's something that is, one of them was worse. As nothing was stated according to what was promised by him.
Yeah.
And there is no black and white. It's a sure lose case.
Yeah.
The other one is no other black and white, but in the terms and conditions are not to her favor. Yeah, but also cannot change. Very sad
Yeah,
case.
because some of them are told, you sign first, later we talk.
Yeah. My God.
But that's not the way it is because it just ends at the court order.
And she's telling me, I don't remember signing anything. Yeah. She told me she don't remember signing anything. I said, then your court order is out. What do you mean by never sign anything? So you see,
Ignorance is not defense, unfortunately.
Yes.
But there's a lot of that going on.
That-
So I hope, through this podcast, people do realize that they really need to get lawyers. Even just check through to make sure it's okay. Go and get lawyers. Because if not, it's too late to change anything.
You guys hear that? Ignorance is not a defense.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And there is no way to undo a court order after it is made. Yeah.
Thank you, Rajan. Rajan, we see that you actually are a very well-rounded lawyer. You have mediations, you are a child representative, you do collaborative divorce. You really went all the way out to really want people to have peaceful marriage. Peaceful divorce. Is there a higher goal that you are setting for yourself?
I asked myself the same question, and it took me two years to find the higher goal. The higher goal is to have a one-stop center, where people can deal with all the issues relating to divorce. So what we do in our firm, we have our own specialized group of counselors. These are the only people that we send them to. Yeah, we work with them. We know how good they are, so we have a group so that people can choose. And then sometimes we will see this client. We think that it will be suitable for that counselor. We do that. We also link up with financial agents, the financial advisors, so that they can get counseling, financial counseling, learn how to budget, learn how to run a new household when you get divorced and set up a new household. So we work with financial the advisors. We work with property agents. We would love to work with you. Yeah, because we want people that we know and they are our friends and we know they will provide very good service. Yeah, because right now people have to go to so many places to find help.
Yes.
A divorce is not only a legal problem.
There
is, there are child-related issues, so you need counselors, you need psychologists, you even need tutors sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, and then for property, you need property agents. and then you need the financial advisors,
Yep.
the whole lot. For the foreign clients that we serve, they also need support and advice on immigration law. Which is done by the immigration agents. So we try and form up a team, a multi-disciplinary team of people that we hope that people will come and they're able to solve all the
Wow.
problems. So if you need lawyers to do real estate work, and often we don't do it, we also have a real estate lawyer partner.
Convincing.
Yeah, so that they can hopefully have a one-stop center. We started doing that from last year. So that's the goal.
Fantastic.
So that you don't have to scramble around, because it's very hard,
And
scrambling around.
the worst thing is there's limited information. There is no one place, there is no one book we call that tells you step by step what you need to know, right? What to do. Schools don't teach us this. The school don't teach us what happens thereafter. What should be the next step? Nothing.
No, but in the internet, there's so much of information that people get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The information is all over. And some of them may or may not be accurate. So I've got people who tell me, after reading through different versions, which one should they take? The more they read, they get more confused.
Yeah.
So what you are looking at is very, very interesting.
Well, I must have goals, right? If not, life is so boring.
Agree.
I mean, when I already reached the goal of peaceful divorces a few years ago, I was thinking to myself, my goodness, what's next? So you have to find something. And after this, it's all about time and resources, really, is to try and create a guide where hopefully has all the answers that you need.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a major, big task. But I think it's necessary. So, but that's right. Will be right after this for the next year, I guess, or the years to come.
You see, in a difficult, I would say, in a very difficult process, or for a person's life, the last thing you want is more difficulty in getting it solved, right? So, what you want and what your goals and vision is, right? Actually, it makes me feel that there is still a lot of hope for people who are really lost, right? At least they have a place that they can go to. There's no obligation in the beginning, right? So it's about finding out, is it suitable for them before they take the next step? At least they know it's all rounded, what they need to do step by step. They are guided the right way.
And for people tend to think that all divorces are the same, and they like to compare divorces with their friends. And I want to say this podcast, please don't do that, because every divorce is different. You come and tell me that my friend was like that. How come mine like that? It's different. It's a different marriage, a different family unit.
Yeah.
Everything is so different. So you can't compare cases. And I hope people will stop doing that, because that's really very painful for them. Because they get very stressed up. They think they got a bad deal. They didn't. It's the deal that works best for them.
Yeah. That's why the people first thing they ask me is how much money I get.
It's as much as fun trying to find out your income, right?
Yeah. The thing is, I always ask them, with inflation and all, nothing is enough. Nothing is enough. Then how to? What do you want me to tell you?
Because they want to compare.
How to compare?
That's what they ask you.
Yeah, but the fact is, how to compare, right? Yeah, we can't. So, yes, this is so real.
Well, there is so much to do, and every case there's no standard case, really. People ask me, don't you have a standard template to file for divorce based on unreasonable behavior? I say no, because your marriage is different. Yeah, so there's no template, and not every case is not the same, and the issues are very unique. And some people are so worried and so scared, you need to keep on repeating the same advice over and over again. Yeah, and I'm okay doing that. Okay, I'm not okay. Sometimes I get quite irritated, but I'm generally okay to do that, because when you start thinking about why do they ask you over and over again, there's something there, right? It's some insecurity and some fear.
Yes.
So it all boils down to that, and I'm glad I did the course in counselling, because I think it's made me a better lawyer.
Wow.
Because the emotional part you cannot ignore, because everything comes from there. How clients behave towards you is also because of their emotional state of mind.
Yeah.
And and we get clients at the worst time in their lives, and some of them really hit it back at us. They ventilate at us, and they're very unreasonable, and then you just have to swallow your this thing, and and you can talk to your staff about it, and that's about it. Yeah. So we get very good clients. We also get clients who are really very, very demanding, and I don't think it's personal. I think it's because of what they've gone through. So a lot to sift through, a lot to be done.
Yeah.
But this is not the end.
I always believe hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. I should remember that. Yeah.
Most of the time, people don't just turn up being nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. But there must be a reason why.
No, I still remember this case a long time ago where the man was hurting so badly, and we were talking and discussing things. I put my hand on his shoulder for support. He shrugged.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's like, it's so much of damage. Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Wait, struck. Was he? What I mean, like, he struck because he didn't.
He didn't want to touch.
Do you want to touch? Okay.
No, I mean, I because it was a really hard time, so I just put my hand and I said, you know, it was quite elderly man as well. So I said, you know, I would have done that to my dad or my uncle. So I said, you know, it's okay. He said, no. Yeah. It's a sign of the hurt and the mistrust that you have people. Yeah. So building rapport with clients is very difficult.
It is. Okay, back to the those who are more cost conscious. Can I understand is your first consult what is that called?
Free.
Yes.
Free, you mean?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, we do in this manner. We do a phone consult first to have a feel of the idea and the problems and the issues. Sometimes you need only 5-10 minutes. Maybe it's a very simple thing, you know. So we do a consult and sometimes we can go on for 20-30 minutes. So that's free. That's on the phone, get a feel of each other, get the idea of the problems. Then we do a face-to-face consult for 30 minutes. That's also free. So technically about 1 hour-ish. Yeah. And then after that, they can decide. Because with the 2 parts to it should be enough to make a decision. And the 30 minutes, most people, when you tell them it's 30 minutes free and after you pay, they will keep the 30 minutes. They will, which is fine with me. I have no issues.
Yep.
Yeah, so I say come prepare, come with a list of questions. Don't then sit down and wonder what's my next question. Yeah, and we are not very tight about it. You want to come back to us and write to us about it, no problem. Yeah, we do provide the support because we can have an idea that this will turn into a client.
Yep.
You see, for family care clients, the new ones that we meet, not everybody turns into a client now. They can turn into a client next year, the year after. I've got people come to me 3 years ago and say, I spoke to you, I have no idea. Yeah,
My
because
divorce
it's too long ago.
very long later. My divorce lawyer was a junior lawyer when I first approached her. My marriage dragged for 8 more years before the divorce was
And she became
finalized.
senior.
She became a partner.
But
she
and
was
the cost just went up.
Yeah, so the cost went up. But I'm very thankful that she didn't charge me more. She didn't charge me more. But the fact is, I'm not there for free stuff, right? But I was not ready at that time.
It's a personal
Yeah,
relationship.
it is.
We have a client who came to us a week or 2 ago, and when I was searching on my emails, I realized that she first got in touch with us in 2018. That's how many years ago?
6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, still shorter than mine.
Yeah. So, yeah, once there's a rapport, they will come back.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yep.
people, it may not be today.
Yep.
So we are sometimes building for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they don't come back, it's okay because I think it's, to some extent, it's a service. Yeah. I mean, 20-30 minutes, or you can't think about what you make.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I am very honored and very glad that we have Rajan here today and really got a lot of insights and really firsthand, really firsthand. All this information is something that we really cannot find online easily.
Yes.
Very practical, I think.
Yes, very practical.
Yeah. And I hope that people who watch and listen to this podcast will find it useful.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rajan.
You're
Your
welcome.
intention to even start this collaborative divorce it's really inspiring. And I really hope that, the audience will really benefit from this.
Yeah.
And we really want them to support you. Right?
If you can help them, why not, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah, of
yes.
course.
I think at the end of the day, when we come to this point, what we need is some closure. What we want is just to move on in the easiest and the most peaceful manner possible for families. Because it involves never 2 parties, it involves 2 families. Children, old folks.
Closure, and there's some people who talk about closure therapy and all that. I think it's very important. I think that's what counselors can look into doing. Closure therapy or because closure can't happen by itself. It's not going to be done by parties. It's not going to be done by lawyers. I think it has to be a closure therapy.
Is
Yeah.
this service available?
I don't think, people talk about it. I do not know of somebody who's doing it.
Okay.
But I think closure is very good.
Suggestion to the counselor, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's suggestion to my counselor friends.
To your counselor, your
friends.
group of counselors.
Yeah.
No, I find that this is so important because at the end of the day, going through my divorce, I'm thankful that I had my closure. But you asked me how good was it? I had to cope on my own. It was not easy. So, of course, if there's somebody else who can help, I think it might have been a lot easier for me too.
I think it all depends on whether there's a need and demand for closure. Some people think that they can handle it by themselves. They don't need closure. And it's again very personal, right?
Yep.
I think everything to do with divorce is so personal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Agree.
And it's really about how comfort level of people and and what they want. Yeah. So for example, like some clients would rather have a female lawyer than a male lawyer. 50% of my clients are women. Yeah. But when they say that, I'm perfectly fine. I get it because you need a female lawyer. Yeah. Then I'll give them some of my friends who I think they're very good. Yeah. So it all depends, lah. It's the divorce client is a very interesting, weird client with all his thoughts and feelings and processes. Sometimes it doesn't make sense at all. And then you just, it was like, try to give a straight face and say, okay, let's try and figure it out.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, it's quite bizarre sometimes, some of the things they say. Yeah, and I do the consults in the phone by myself, so they all come to me. Yeah, so some of the things they say, and then you wonder where they got it from. And no matter how much you clarify and tell them, no, that is not true, they still cannot believe it.
Yeah. And when you are the lawyer yourself, you're not some
I'll tell
admin
them, I
clerk.
said, I'm a lawyer, you don't believe me?
And you must repeat, I'm not the clerk. Then still, they question, right?
I don't think so. It's me or whether I'm a lawyer or not. I just think it's the person.
Yep.
It's just so scared and so worried. And both men and women fall into that category, not only women, or not only men. They're equally very, very fragile men that I've met.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we close this podcast sessions, what is your direct advice to the clients who will come to you, and what do they need to prepare?
I think it's good to have a list of questions. You help them a lot. Focus it, whether it's a phone call or meeting. Preparation is really documents, and that's not very important in the beginning. That can be done much later. Just come with a list of questions. Yeah, that's very helpful.
List of questions can go from, maybe to help expand a little bit, right? List of questions can come in example.
It can be on the law, on custody, on maintenance, on division of assets, on divorce, what are the reasons to use, how to go about doing it. Yeah, or it could be anything else that's non-law related, but it's important to the family, like immigration. A lot of them do want to know about dependent pass and stuff like that. So those kind of things. So it can be anything that to them is important, and they think that it's relating to marriage. Like for example, very recently, I had to try to clarify to a client that she doesn't have to worry. The debts by the husband are not her debts, and she still can't figure. She's so worried that this man who has squandered away and got a lot of debts, she has to pay. I say, even if you divorce him, you don't have to pay, because it's his debts. You're just because you're a wife, you're not responsible. Yeah, so things like this, people want to know, they can clarify. That's why the phone call is important. It keeps away the simple kind of inquiries, which people don't want to come down to see me.
Yeah.
It's such a kind of, the time that you take the travel down to CBD. Yeah.
Agree.
So that's why we receive through the calls quite a lot.
I think audience, listen to this is important, because I think this is something that is very valuable. Not everywhere you go you can find. I cannot find this information online. Yeah, when I first wanted to find out what should I ask, how to even start, because in my mind there's so many law jargons, custody, access, maintenance, etc. All these are jargons of law that you may not know today, but at least you have somebody that you can ask first before you even start your process.
Right.
Very fantastic.
Yeah.
Exactly. So before we end off, just remember, besides preparing all these questions, one thing you need to ask yourself, what is the intention and what is the outcome you want to achieve in this divorce?
Yes.
Then your questions will be clear.
Agree.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rajan. Thank you.